Vem fan är du? Nu jävlar! Gå hem och läs!
So, if you're like most people, you've probably thought about sneaking out there, getting drunk, flirting with people, having some fun. Even if you never actually do it, you've thought of it. Our minds think of a lot of things. But you know, if you do that in real life, you kinda get in trouble eventually. So here's a game to satisfy those little fantasies that you might have in your head. This is Dubbelmoral. It's a 1990 Macintosh game about drinking, flirting with girls, and throwing up. Okay, that's not all it is. It's also Swedish! Okay, that's not all it is either. I'm gonna get one thing out of the way right now. Aside from knowing that Dubbelmoral meant something like double standard, I had no clue what anything in the game said. But thankfully this game was suggested by Emanuel Blume. He's known as MamisKonto here on the YouTubes. And he was actually able to tell me what all this Swedish meant in the only language that I can understand. English. Because apparently I'm a simpleton. He also gave me background information on the festival that inspired this game, so on several accounts, this review wouldn't be happening without him. So let's do a revision on what this game is actually about. Basically, you're a college student and you should be at home studying. However, Karnevalen is going on, and that only happens every 4 years, so how could you miss that? Incidentally, in real life, this event is rather infamous for making students slip grades and fail classes. So you hit Command G and you sneak out in probably the best way I've seen in a video game. You climb out of the window your room is in, climb up the screen, and hop up onto the main game window. Which is pretty frickin' awesome. The controls are pretty simple and you can set them yourself. You have climb, duck, left, right, sprint right, jump, and action. So then you can go around Lund, drink the large quantities of apparently full bottles of beer lying around on the ground, outside someone's door, and on balconies, and can go kiss a girl who's always standing around on this fountain for some reason. All of which gives you points. Yeah, it still doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it? Also, maybe I've been watching the Angry Video Game Nerd too much, but doesn't that look like bottles of Rolling Rock scattered all over the place? I think I see traces of the wild nerd wandering Lund. Yeah, it's probably just me. I don't know much about alcoholic beverages myself. There's probably plenty of stuff that comes in green bottles. You know, these are unlabeled green bottles, actually. Why are you drinking these off the ground? Who knows what it is you're pouring down your gullet? But although they're similar in shape, I really doubt it's Dark Castle elixir. Also, I suppose you could technically call this an open game. You can travel between screens whenever you like, although the game is still very linear anyways. I usually travel to the left, though. If you're going to the right, you jump off to the left when you sneak back home, so it kinda takes longer to get back to your room. So, while you're off partying at Carnival, you have to keep an eye on 3 things. The top bar shows how drunk you are. This affects a few different things, mainly how fast you passively earn points, and how often you fall over while running, or even in extreme cases, while walking. You'll stumble over when you're off screen, even. The second is your bladder, which goes up as you wander around, and it goes up much faster if you run. It also fills up faster when you're drunk, so there is that. The third is your injury, which is caused by various people or objects hitting you and falling off of various places. Jeez, that is a 2-story drop, and he's getting right back up and running off. This guy is pretty sturdy. After you leave, your mother will eventually come to your room to check up on you. She'll see you aren't there, get mad, and come out to try to hit meatballs at your head. Ah! My cranial containment unit! Jeez, those things hurt. So if she's not on the screen, you can use Command G again to hop off the screen and run back to your room to escape her wrath. If you do it quick enough as your mother's coming to check on you, you can actually fool her into thinking you're studying, which scores you extra points. I'm not quite sure how you explain being completely plastered and having your breath smell heavily of booze, but you know, video games. Logic? What's that? So if you're just sitting around in your room, she never comes to check on you, so you can't just sit around earning points that way. That'd be pretty cheap, and I would have pointed that one out. Also, to make this illogical enough to make Spock's brain hurt, kissing the girl heals you. Okay, actually, maybe that's not completely illogical, you know, endorphins and all. Okay, how's this for enough to make Spock's brain explode? Drinking beer heals you. I mean, What? Yeah, I know it's not much, but that doesn't really make any sense at all. It'd make you feel less pain, but feeling less pain is not healing. Oh, and though your room makes a good place to rest without the wrath of your mother coming down on you, you have to leave to use the bathroom. There's no bathroom in this house? I have to sneak outside to go and take a piss? There's not even some indoor public bathroom in this area? Man, a house or apartment without a bathroom would suck. Does such a thing even exist? Speaking of illogical things, guess what your biggest danger is? Being pushed off of balconies? Nope, although it does hurt. Getting hit by the cops protecting the grass? No, although I did die that way once. Getting hit by fountain water? No. That's kinda dumb, it doesn't really hurt much anyway. You know what your biggest danger is? Branches. Apparently this carnival is taking place in an approaching gale force windstorm as there are branches flying everywhere on the first screen. It wouldn't be quite so bad if it wasn't right near the urinal, the only place you can relieve yourself to keep your bladder from exploding. Talk about pissing into the wind. Oh, and the more points you have, the faster they move. You will end up raped by these branches at some point. They get so fast that if they fall near the same spot, you are completely boned because you cannot get back up to run away. So expect to go back and forth to use that girl for healing as you try to take a piss anywhere past 1,000 points, assuming the branches don't keep falling in the same spot and just kill you. So that's one way to get a game over, through injury, which apparently tells you that you've taken so much damage from the carnival that you die to death. Sounds like a bad fan translation of an anime, but Emanuel tells me that's literally what it says, so there we go. And I just realized Emanuel sounds like manual, like there's a manual for this game or something. Never mind that, though. Then again, this game was written by the college students there. Methinks they had a few drinks, too. But there is 2 other ways to get a game over. Like I said, your bladder can literally explode if you don't use the urinal, so that ends the game. Probably the hardest way to end the game is to throw up on the Rector Magnificus. Basically, the highest headmaster of the school, which would be like if Harry Potter got drunk and threw up on Dumbledore. Only not in a school full of magic. It takes a lot of drinks to get yourself all the way drunk. This dude can apparently hold his liquor. Oh, and you have to do this not once, not twice, but 3 times in order to get yourself expelled. I had to actually try to do this one, so it probably won't happen on accident. The most common way to die seems to be branches, while you're trying to pee to keep your bladder from exploding, so you're kinda caught in a catch-22 of death there. Oh, another thing. If you're too drunk, when you try to go to use the urinal, you puke in it a bit first. Ugh. God, I really, really hate to think what that urinal looks like. Ugh. So basically, in here you keep going, drinking beer, kissing girls, and pretending to do your homework until you die, your bladder explodes, or you're expelled. So yeah, not a whole lot to it, but it is amusing. And hey, it was made in honor of a real event, so that's kinda cool. Hopefully these things aren't actually happening to the students in Lund, though. Or is it Lund? Lund? I don't know, now I'm butchering Swedish, too. I apologize. But I wouldn't be the gamer mouse if I didn't try and look for some things in a game, even if it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot to it. There are a few other amusing things you can do and Easter eggs to find, both in-game and not. Firstly, you can run this game in any color depth and it will attempt to adjust accordingly. Black and white looks good, and 16 and 256 grays does too, and 256 colors looks good. 4 or 16 colors, though? Ew. Ugly. Don't do it. Also, when it's running on 256 colors, doesn't the graphical style remind you of anything? If you've played any epic banana games like Gardyloo Golf, Yogurt Commercial, or A Day at Work, well, I think the graphical style in here is pretty similar. But maybe it's just me, I don't know. There's also a few things you can do in-game. Get completely drunk on the balcony by stealing this guy's booze and you end up falling off the balcony yourself. Also, if you're really drunk and you go to kiss the girl, you kinda end up groping her instead. Well, he says Stockholm Motala. I don't really know the background behind it myself. I know they're 2 cities that are close together. Emanuel said it would be hard for a non-Swede to grasp. So apparently harder to grasp than some things in this game. Oh! Yeah, I went there. Speaking of speech, there isn't a whole lot of lines in this game. The person throwing bottles at you is calling you a bastard. The guy on the balcony is wondering who the hell you are. So would I if someone was climbing around on my balcony stealing my beer.
Studentajävel! Studentajävel! Vem fan är du?
The mother is telling you to go home and study when she's hitting meatballs at you. You know, come to think of it, that means your mother can kill you on her quest to make you go home and study. She's freaking nuts! Speaking of the meatballs, here's the last Easter egg, and I kinda have Mr. Blume to thank for this one. You click on the Dubbelmoral logo down here, and you get the meatball recipe your mother uses, which has no meat in it whatsoever. Okay, so here's your mother's meatball recipe. 10 liters of water, okay. 5 kilograms of flour, alright. 1 bag of cement. What? 5 kilograms of macadam? 2 liters of Carlson's glue? Macadam is sort of a predecessor to tarmac, and Carlson's glue is a glue known to stick to everything and not come off. So it's kind of like super glue here in the States. This sounds more like your mother is making a road in a bowl. Would explain that metallic clang that her pan makes when she hits them at you.
Och hemma läs!
Geez, at least Portal's cake recipe is actually a cake. Just don't put any of the suggested garnishings on it, and you'll be fine. Oh, and these meatless meatballs are meant to mix into a bowl, ferment for 3 hours, solidify, and then be separated and fry on a high temperature. How do you separate that mixture? If she is strong enough to do that, man, no wonder those things hurt when she hits them at you. So if you want to play it, once again, Macintosh Garden. Also, it was freeware when it was released, so there's not even the ever-changing gray zone of abandonware to worry about. The file off the Macintosh Garden has what I assume are default high scores. I have no clue who could get 5,000 points in this game. If someone does, I want to see footage of that. So it's simple, and it's kind of big, a bit over 800 kilobytes, so you would need a high-density floppy disk to sneakernet this thing around, but if you don't mind the size, you might enjoy it. I did. And thanks to Emanuel, there's translations in the description, so you don't even have to understand Swedish to read everything in this game. So thank Emanuel Blume for that one yet again. If you're going to emulate, be warned, Mini VMAC will run it in black and white with sound, but nothing will make it run in color with sound. Actually, that's a lie. MES emulating a Mac 2 will, but on my dual-core 2.4 GHz Intel processor, it still ran at 80% speed, so good luck with that. MES is not made for efficient emulation, but it's very accurate. This is Tanara Kuranov signing off, and I might suck at cooking, but man, I would give you a better meal than those meatballs. Ow! My brain box! Hallelujah.